And then after Charlie died, she started questioning whether Israel had any role in it. And that's when they really tried to amp up the pressure on me to condemn her. And I refused because Charlie was starting to have serious questions about Israel, not just its role in the Gaza war, but its influence on American politicians, something he and I spent hours and hours discussing. So I had no problem with Candace Owens asking those questions. And I refused to condemn her because I was under pressure from these people who wanted me to. And then that morphed into then everything Candace said thereafter, with which I may or may not have had serious problems, that I had to, where's the condemnation? And it was all really about the Israel thing.
I went on Piers Morgan one time, and he said he was going to have me back on the show, and I'll admit I'm a little bit bitter. I'm a little bit bitter that I was never allowed back on the show. I started ratioing him on Twitter very aggressively, I will admit. The ratios were extremely aggressive. But that was in the first days of the genocide in Gaza, first days, weeks, months, years. And to be fair, Piers Morgan is still saying a lot of stupid things about Gaza and the Palestinians and Iran and other countries. I'm not saying he's like woken up or something. He's definitely far less ignorant in the things he's saying now than he was before. But I feel like I was kind of deserved. I feel like it was a very, well-deserved thing for me to just destroy him on Twitter. And maybe that was what possibly helped bring him to this position, which is objectively slightly better than the one he held at the start of the genocide. I don't know. I do find it a little bit weird that he won't have me on his show again, though. I was a very cordial guest when I was on the first time. It went super viral. I'll admit, he gets good viewers. I have no personal fascination in Piers Morgan as a person. I think he's a criminal. First of all, I think he's of the low IQ type. But he did have Megyn Kelly on, and he decided to ask her a stupid question. Let's take a listen. We'll be right back with our video, but first a word from our sponsor, Enhance, NASDAQ ticker APAD, who is pioneering the intersection of elite sports, health tech, media, and human performance science. Enhance is creating a groundbreaking platform that fuses world-class athletic competition, medically supervised performance optimization, telehealth services, and consumer wellness products. At its core, the Enhanced Games, an international event allowing safe, transparent enhancement for record-breaking performances in swimming, track, and weightlifting. The first Enhanced Games hits Las Vegas May 24th of 2026 as a global media spectacle with massive payouts and top athletes already committed. Unlike traditional sports, Enhanced builds diversified revenue from live events, broadcasting rights, sponsorships, licensing, telehealth, and direct-to-consumer performance and longevity products for recurring growth. They're going public via merger with a Paradise Acquisition Corporation, valuing Enhanced at $1.2 billion enterprise value, expecting up to $200 million in cash to fuel expansion, athlete recruitment, medical infrastructure, and product launches. Post-close in the first half of 2026, it'll trade as Enhanced Group Incorporated on NASDAQ under ENHA. Learn more about Enhanced at enhanced.com. And as always, do your own research. This is not financial advice, and thank you so much to Enhance for supporting the show today.
You've been very supportive of her, not critical, even though she, I would argue, and I have to her face when I've had her on the show, I get on well with Candace, but some of the stuff she's been doing in relation to Erika, Kirk, Brigitte Macron, and others, I do think is really regrettable, kind of conspiracy theory nonsense just for clicks and money. Why would you hesitate before criticizing her over stuff like that?
I've criticized Candace many times over the years. We've had many public fights over the years. But isn't it interesting that you will, quote, platform Candace? She hasn't been on my show in several years, but I get all the hard time. Why am I getting that? You're the one, quote, platforming Candace Owens. She and I don't have that kind of relationship. Candace took a...
Some people in the chat are saying Piers is a press prostitute. Piers is a Zionist shill. I mean, obviously, right? But what I'm saying about Piers, you have to make one clear distinction here about Piers. We all do. There, you know how there's that old saying, speak truth to power. Speak truth to power. It's a cliche, and really, it's not true. There really is no such thing as speaking truth to power. Did you know that? If you really think about it, I've never understood that phrase, speak truth to power. Does that make any sense? Are we going to sit here and act like those in power do not understand that they are operating with a certain class interest in mind against the masses, against the working class? Are we going to sit here and act like we don't, that the ruling class, the powerful and elite, don't understand what they're doing to the Iranians? No, of course they do. This is the whole game. It's not like they're just randomly following along these horrific policies and foreign policy, war, genocide. It's not like they're accidentally, when you say speak truth into power, speak truth to power, it makes it sound like the powerful people are just making little mistakes and they don't even understand what they're doing and like they're not aware of the truth. No, they are aware of the truth. Piers Morgan, however, I do kind of believe that he's so stupid. He's a stooge for the power. I mean, is he powerful? I'm sure he's wealthy, okay, but like, does he really do anything besides have a YouTube show? I don't know. I don't think he's like, I don't think anyone probably takes that guy too seriously, but like, he actually is so stupid. I think it's actually useful to speak truth to him because he seems to be that stupid. I don't think he really understands what's happening in the world around him. I think he believes the garbage that he's fed by the powerful who do know what they're doing. And it's not so much to absolve him of his horrendous opinions. I just think he's actually low IQ. Look at the look on his face right now. Does that look like a smart person?
A bunch of crap because she was very anti-Israel in the Gaza war. And it became a thing where you had to say she was terrible in her positioning. And then after Charlie died, she started questioning whether Israel had any role in it. And that's when they really tried to amp up the pressure on me to condemn her. And I refused because Charlie was starting to have serious questions about Israel. Not just its role in the Gaza war, but its influence on American politicians, something he and I spent hours and hours discussing. So I had no problem with Candace Owens asking those questions. And I refused to condemn her because I was under pressure from these people who wanted me to. And then that morphed into then everything Candace said thereafter, with which I may or may not have had serious problems, that I had to, where's the condemnation? And it was all really about the Israel thing. And I'd rather die than bend the knee to these people. I'd rather die than bend the knee. It won't happen. I didn't raise my fist and say BLM, and I'm not going to condemn the people they want me to condemn just so that I can get a little pat on my head from them. It's not important to me. What's important to me is I live free. And that, frankly, is what it means to be an American.
So I agree with that. I think that's pretty base. I've attacked Megyn Kelly for just like saying objectively stupid things. Like she said a lot of stupid things about Venezuela. She's like, overall, she's usually like kind of right nowadays about the things she says. And I guess that's, she came pretty far having been a primetime Fox News personality, right? So I'll give her that. But she always gets things like kind of right, but then says something stupid. You know what I'll never understand? It's like, isn't it your job? Isn't it your job to do this? Isn't it your job? This is what I don't understand about people who try to say, oh, well, Megyn Kelly or this, that, or the third, this person, that person, like, oh, well, yeah, they're good, but, they just got this one thing wrong. It's like, isn't it kind of your job to not get things wrong? And if you get it wrong, apologize. Like Tucker always apologizes for Iraq profusely. Year after year, day after day, he profusely apologizes for what he said about Iraq when he was in news.
Here from Janine, Palestine. You're doing great things. Don't let them stop ya.
Ahmed, shout out Palestine. We're going to meet in a free Palestine. I feel it. I even have dreams about it sometimes. Like, oh yeah, one day it's going to happen. One day it's going to happen. One day we'll all be there together. Not some Labubu Dubai chocolate Palestine created by UAE real estate moguls, but like a real Palestine. I feel like we're all going to be there. That's why when I was in Yemen, you know, the last thing I said in my speech, I said, you know, we'll meet again in Palestine. I honestly believe that. I don't know. I want to see the world. And it just doesn't make sense to me. What doesn't make sense to me is that these forces of evil that are fighting God are going to win. You look at Yemen. When I was in Yemen, people there were so strong. I can't even imagine how strong the people in Gaza and Palestine are, but the people in Yemen were like, wow, you know, so they have so little, but they have so much at the same time. People call the Yemenis the poorest country on the face of the earth. You go there and you realize they're the richest country on the face of the earth. I mean, these guys, to put it bluntly, are not to be fucked with. I think Trump understood that after his failed naval mission operation against the Yemenis. But when you're there in person and you witness it and you feel it, you see it, I mean, it's quite something. Anyway, so this is basically what I'm trying to get at here. Megyn Kelly says, like, oh, I'll not condemn Candace, but I don't agree with Candace about the whole Charlie Kirk thing. Okay, let's just take a look at like five basic lies about this whole thing. Mikey McCoy had blood all over him and was a magnificent hero. That was a lie. The offender was Pastor Rob McCoy. Reality, there was no blood. Mikey McCoy was on the phone. He walked away. Superman neck. Charlie's neck stopped a 30-06 bullet because he ate salad and had strong bones. A modern-day miracle. Andrew Colvett said that. Reality, physics don't work that way. It was a cover story. Lie number 3, the camera excuse. The AV guy was told to remove cameras by police. The offender, Tyler Boyer. Reality, Candace has the footage. Police never ordered this. Lie number 4, stolen hats, absurdity. The lie, Terrell moved the SD cards because he was afraid people would steal hats. The offender, Andrew Colvett. Reality, who steals hats but leaves expensive cameras? They wanted the footage gone. Lie number 5, the Israel pivot. Charlie never blinked in his support for Israel. Josh Hammer and Zionist influencer said that over and over. Reality, Charlie, as we all know, did turn on Israel in a big way. He was done being bullied by donors, and he said as much to Trump and Netanyahu and said, no, Netanyahu's not coming on my show. I'm not going to Israel. We shouldn't bomb Iran. Lie number 6, best friends narrative. There was no bad blood between Charlie and Ben Shapiro. Alex Clark said that. Reality, Charlie refused to let the Zionist peer pressure control him anymore. And there's many more. The Hampton Summit, we now know was a big giant lie. Even Seth Dillon has admitted that. We have that. We have much more. They're just lying nonstop. And at a certain point, it's like, when are the Megyn Kellys of the world just going to wake up and admit that, yeah, the FBI lied to you yet again, and maybe you should do something about that. Maybe you should use your voice to say, I won't only not condemn Candace, but I'll actually fight alongside with her hand in hand. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.